Hey everybody, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to string up this second float on the camera. So this is our first float that we went through, and basically what you want to do to get these squared away is on opposite sides you want to install the two side stringers first. Right, that'll give you a little bit of torsion control. And then you're going to go and put in the center pieces here and here, and then we do the top corners, and then we'll set the bottom corners and so on. So anyway, it's just the order I'd like to go through. The thing is, I like these Gillo stringers. I never throw them away. If I've got something left over from a Gillo kit, stringers especially, I keep them. But these tend to be pretty stiff, and that's a good thing in a lot of places. Now, sometimes you want the flimsy, softer wood, but not very often. So we're going to go down the middle here, starting at the front, and just get this thing seated all the way down. And you want to be careful, obviously you don't want to crush anything. You just want to get that seated, and you want to make sure you're tucked in all the way at every junction there. Okay, and get that nice smooth flowing line. Doesn't matter if it's hanging off the back, you'll just trim that off. And we just go down the line, tack it in. Oops, of course it popped out. It's alright. Make sure that's in there. And now we'll just go down the line. And you want to make sure they're all seated. Tray tables in the upright position. A little too much on that one. These applicator tips just get ruined quickly. Alright, then we just want to lay that facet flat when we trim. We don't want to twist the stringer as we're cutting it. And we'll just pop it out of there. Set that aside because that's just the right length for the front half here. On the other side. You want to pay attention to these Gillo stringers when you do cut them apart, because what happens is if you don't trim that off, then you're stuck. You could be stuck in the middle of a deal with that on there, or it could just be slighter than that, and you're trying to fit it in to a former, and you split the former because of it. So always, cut behind that. The reason I didn't do it in this instance is that it's already part of the fall. It wasn't in a place where I was worried about that happening. Okay. Do check when you cut those off. I just split them off, and that's not what I typically do. You want to cut them off and separate them about an inch in from where they're attached. Again, we're going to lay this facet flat and then just trim that away. You see, now we don't have to measure everything. And too, sometimes when you're trying to make a nice bend and you've cut short, you can get a hard angle, whereas if you've got this coming off, let's just say for instance we're doing this one, and then I can, when I'm holding that in, I can hold it out here and I'll get a much smoother curve there, if that makes sense. Alright, so I guess we'll go ahead and set that top edge. Trying to think of how I did the other one. It came out really nice. Yeah, we'll just set the top edge now. Maybe I should go from the back here. Oops. What did it pop out of there? It's funny, I do this without the camera and it's nice. Turn the camera on, suddenly I've just got situations. Alright, I'm going to go from back to front. Just for that reason. We want a nice smooth curve there. I did the other thing I don't like normally do. Okay, there. Alright. I'll get it together. Or not. Get it together. So that's what this is. We're getting it together. And we're getting it together. So I'll get it together. And we'll get it together. I'll stop now. I'll stop talking now. Alright, so you see alternating, get a good fit. Are we still in? Yes. And tack it at the rear. And then come back to the front. Lay that facet nice and flat. Chop that off. Set it aside. We're going to need it. Let's get another good that is not a 16th of anything. So, let's get that one seated in there. S'il vous plaît. Okay, there we go. Just need a little butter. Get the butter. Interesting. Get in there. One's in. Okay. So hold this off here. And tack those. I really don't like that glue tip anymore. Don't have another one. So we just press on. Okay. Top sides, top edges. And we go to work on the bottoms. This is long enough. So we'll do the bottom centers. Again, working from back to front. Alright. Starting to become a little vexed at how this is not going as smoothly as the other one. It's funny. As I've said. Alright, get that guy in there. Boom. Set this one in here. cooperation as we, let's not see it. There we go. Okay. Chippy choppy. These are long enough for that. Good. Where are they? Yes. Alright, then we'll go down the middle of the rear half of the float. And we're in. Okay. We're just going to sand these flat when we're done. So if there's anything hanging off of there, remember we're just going to flatten that with the sanding block when we're done here. No problemo. Okay, that's in. Alright, I don't know if I'm doing this in the right where you can see what I'm doing, but anyway. Now we just have these lower corners to do, and we're good to go. I have a bad habit, I think. Well, it's partly because I can't find a decent spot for that camera, but I do all my work here. I'm used to having a small area, and you know, you're looking at this tabletop and you're wondering, what's going on with this guy? I don't know. Trust me, I have no idea what's going on with this guy. It's just the way I work. I got used to not having a lot of room, and I do everything on the front 6 inches of my bench. All this stuff is for landscaping, I guess. To set the mood, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it does. I don't ever know what this guy's doing. Alright, now we'll just try and come out here now where you can see. I'm gonna have to remind myself every time. Hey dummy, use your bench. It's like I could work on a shelf, which is not true. I couldn't work on a shelf. I don't know why I'm trying to. Alright, get the other corner here, and we'll move on to the front of the float. Do those lower corners next. There we go. That's a nice run. Nice and straight. If you've done it, if you've set your bulkheads properly, every one of these stringers should be a nice smooth run. There's this bows down slightly, the kick is here, and up and back, straight shot. If they're in there right, the stringers will look nice and straightish. If there's a kick anywhere, it's probably intentional. And again, at the rear step here, these kind of flange out and down right at the corners here, which is the way they should. I don't know if you all noticed if it, excuse me, but these are scalloped here. they're scalloped there because on the float these are chines, and they're or channels, channels for the water to give lateral stability. You don't want float skip. In other words, you've seen pilots maybe sometimes they're coming in with a yaw, they're scrubbing airspeed by cross control, so they're coming in a little bit crabby sideways. But in a seaplane, you can't do that. You're gonna skip sideways, and that's horrible. Does all kinds of damage. And so you want to come in nice and straight and clean to the water. And as you make that connection to the water, these are channeled to help with that stability, and that's why these are scalloped. I thought that was fascinating that Gillo included that feature on these, pre-scalloped them. It helps me because when I infill these here, I radius, I put that scallop in by wrapping the infill pieces around a dowel this size, and then when I sand these, I just wrap this with sandpaper and sand those channels in. It looks nice on the float. Anyway, that's enough about channels. I don't want you guys to change the channel on me and go watch something else, although that's probably already happened. Alright, so then again we're going to pre-apply the adhesive in these corners. There's nothing to hold the stringers in here like there is in here. The stringers actually snug in there, but on the ends they don't. Again, we're going to work from the back to the front, and that's just to help me trim. I don't have to measure. I can just set this up right there flush. Come out here, and again, I want to be off the end here so that I get that nice bow and no hard angles in there. See that? I don't want to go too far. I don't want to be bending it up and create an adverse effect here. But I do like being able to prevent an inverse sort of a deal there by having this off. Alright, so it's already cured enough for us to cut. Set the facet straight on there, and I think I saw it flex out. Let's see. Oh, that's in there.